Hey, here's another addition to my series on David and Goliath. David, the iconic biblical story that's used often about the little guy against the big guy. And that's where we're at in our nation and in the world right now. It's the little guys against the big conglomerates, the big pharma, the big governments. And being able to navigate those waters in honesty and integrity, it's important that we speak the truth in love. And so this message is to my fellow veterans or active military personnel. Just have some questions for you as we face these days, the same kind of questions David faced in his day. So David not only fought Goliath, we've talked a lot about that, but he also had to fight the corruption of King Saul's regime and administration. The day that he killed Goliath was very iconic, but the corruption in Saul's kingship continued, and he had to fight against that to be true to his own heart and true to his standards, true to his values, and true to his God. Saul was a corrupt man. David had the chance to actually physically kill him a couple times, and he didn't, and that's a good decision, because many times our battle's not against flesh and blood. Having said that, though, there are enemies that we need to fight with wisdom and with truth. And the enemies aren't just those that are outside our country, like Russians or Chinese or Iran. We have outside enemies. What about the enemies within? All of us that have served in the military took an oath. And that oath started, "I do solemnly swear that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic." Quick story, this was back in the early 90s when the medical research was becoming more advanced, like ultrasounds and things like that. And it became extremely obvious that abortion was the killing of a viable life. Is that evil? I thought so, and I still do. And at that point in time, there was a movement called Operation Rescue. And in Operation Rescue, we peacefully demonstrated and sat in front of abortion clinics so that babies would not be killed on that day. I was arrested several times, spent a little bit of time in jail. We did it as veterans. We had what we called a Veterans Rescue in Washington, D.C., and 100 of us veterans were arrested for blocking, basically trespassing, not allowing babies to be killed that day at that killing center. Now, you might say, "Curt, you're crazy." This isn't political. This is a question. What do you consider evil, and what do you consider, since you've taken that oath, that you have enemies, foreign and domestic? At that point in time, and now I still do, doctors that perform abortions are doing evil, and they are enemies of our children, of this country. Plain and simple. Now, what's happening in our land? I guess I want to ask you, what do you consider evil, and who and what do you consider an enemy? Do you consider sexually mutilating children, sometimes with their parents' consent, sometimes without their parents even knowing about it? Do you consider that evil? I do. What do you consider evil? Do you consider thousands of children getting across our borders easily into sex trade? Do you consider that evil? I do. And if there is evil, then what is your evil? And if there is evil, then who are the enemies that we have taken an oath to protect our country and our Constitution from, both foreign and domestic? Unless anybody jump ahead of me, like Operation Rescue, I'm not suggesting any kind of physical violence. But I am suggesting that good men do something, like good men did when we stood against abortion in the 90s. Good men and women need to do something. If we believe there's evil, if we believe there are domestic enemies that propagate or support or encourage such evils that I've mentioned, and there are others. What is evil? Who is your enemy? And what are you going to do about it? I know this is sobering stuff to think about. What I don't want for you as my fellow veteran or armed service, someone in the military, to be at the end of an age or an era or a season, to be like the Germans that said, I was just following orders, when they led little children to gas chambers and incinerated them. We're getting real close to that, of the toleration and the going along and the complacency and the complicity with evil being propagated in our land. What should we do? What can we do? I don't have a lot of answers, but I do have a heart of conviction. Do you, or are you blinded, going along with the masses, not recognizing evil, turning the other way, and thinking that you don't have any responsibility for it when you took an oath that you would defend our country and this Constitution from these kind of enemies? So I put those questions out there. I thank you for your service to our country. I honor you as going into the military and as a veteran, and I'm just asking questions today to remind you, as we're going to be entering into a very turbulent season in this country, and what good men and women do. Good men and women in the military and veterans that have taken that oath, that hopefully are still thinking and not under a cloud of deception as most of Germany and the German army was, but can be awakened in this day. It's one wonderful thing about the internet and this age. We can have access to facts and truth. Unless you think this is political, boy, you've already headed way down that road of deception. This isn't political. Incinerating little children in Germany, it wasn't political. It was evil. The evils I've mentioned in our country going on right now and being allowed, it's not political, it's evil. And will you be a man or a woman that will stand when others go the way of the masses and speak the truth in love? That's what I was hoping to do for you this day. I'm speaking the truth in love. You took an oath. What does that mean to you? Do you have definitions to what you have taken that oath for? And do you have an idea of what might be coming and what you might need to do or not do in the days ahead? God bless you, and hopefully God bless America.